So this is actually a little impromptu video. I think across YouTube, especially for the Elder Scrolls community, for those of us who have been playing ESO for the better part of about 5 years, I see a lot of videos talking about what new systems are we gonna get, or what new skill lines. People kind of with these clickbait sort of videos talking about maybe we're gonna get skill crafting, or maybe we're going to get a whole different skill line. And they're thinking about Skyrim and all the different things that were in Skyrim. And like, oh, we're going to get the one-handed with the one-handed weapon and spell casting. And I'm like, how about we get a working group finder? Right? I mean, when you think about it, like, they can't even get the group finder to work, and people are thinking that they're going to get some crazy new system of which was said was supposed to come out literally that release. Spellcrafting was supposed to be at release. We can't even get battlegrounds with even matches. I queue even in PvE on my healer to do the daily dungeons. I can't even get a group. It's like 20 minutes. I do this shit on stream, right? I'll queue 20 minutes as a healer. Can't get a group. The group finder don't work. Battlegrounds don't work. Cyrodiil lag for years, and people are sitting like, oh, let's get all these new skill lines. Maybe we'll get a new class. It's like, come on, man. Like, be serious. Skyrim is a cash grab, right? When the Elder Scrolls Online first came out, most people who were like, most of the RPers or PvEers were very disappointed. One, because in a PvE wise, the game was very broken. There was, you couldn't group with anybody, because if one person was on like one part of the quest, if they were like slightly ahead of you in the quest, you couldn't group with them. They would literally be invisible. All you would see is like the little chakram above their head, or whatever the hell it's called. That little like arrow thing above their head. That's all you would see. Like, you wouldn't see the person, because they were they were phased out. They were in another part of an instance, because they were literally like one step ahead of you in the quest. And so a lot of people were very disappointed because when they purchased ESO, they were like, it's going to be Skyrim with friends. That's what they thought. And many people were disappointed. And because a lot of what made Skyrim enjoyable, the exploration, wasn't there. So this is just a cash grab for all those people who basically want Skyrim. Like, the nostalgia of Skyrim, even though Skyrim wasn't that great, what really made Skyrim great were the mods, right? The community is what made Skyrim really great. All the different mods that you could add into the game, and a lot of the shit that was broken or like boring and lackluster in Skyrim, like the modding community, is what made Skyrim what it is, realistically speaking. Even in terms of the amount of bugs that were in that game, like a lot of the shit that got fixed, even the UI was fixed by the modding community, not by ZeniMax Online Studios, not by Bethesda. They just put the game out there, and thankfully they had the opportunity to mod it. I mean, shit, when ESO came out, they were actually thinking of not allowing for add-ons. If you are very familiar, like, ESO didn't want add-ons, and the community said, no, we need the add-ons. And if it wasn't for add-ons, there were so many things that were just broken in the game that if we did not have add-ons, and again, if it wasn't for the modding community, the add-on community, a lot of the shit that made ESO better would never have been there, because they're not competent enough to release something that is like on point and working. Realistically speaking, they just don't have the resources, they don't have the talent, they don't have the drive, the desire. It's more driven by profits. And so, in my opinion, if you've been paying attention to the way, like, for example, Dragonhold went, we had 2 patches back to back with no content. Right? There was no PvE content outside of just slaying dragons, which is super casual content. Right? Slay a dragon, save a cat. That was the big push. But there were no new dungeons, no new trials. There was nothing like, no new single player, no new Dragonstar Arena, nothing of that sort. And so, when you think about what is it that they're going to release with Skyrim, in my opinion, it's strictly for the nostalgia of pulling in, those single RPG players who wanted Skyrim with friends. It's literally to cash grab off of them, because the Elder Scrolls community is so casual. They have alienated the vast majority of their PvP player base over the past 5 years, and now they're doing the exact same thing to their PvE player base, right? There's no new content that is coming out for end game players. And realistically, I understand that, because when you think about it, the vast majority of people who play the game now are super casual players, right? There's no one. I'm in two different trial groups, and these guys can barely pull together a group that can finish normal trials, right? And this is very normal. Whenever I queue for dungeons, everybody's doing dungeons on normal, like the community wise, in terms of the group finder. I'm not talking about your buddies that you've been grouping with, that you've been playing with for a long time. I'm just talking about the average community members. Can't even complete, the vet trials, which is why you see on the forums so many people that are posting, please remove DLCs from the random daily, because they can't complete it, even on normal. A lot of these people can't complete it. They can't complete vet. Forget about hard mode. Right? These people don't even do any of that. And so from a business standpoint, it's like, why would they continue to release that type of content if the vast majority of their player base aren't even able to complete it? It's a waste of resources, especially since a lot of the end game PvEers, there's nothing for them to come back to, because most of the times they do end game trials, and then they do the trial once or twice, and that's it. There's no real incentive. There's no leaderboard. There's no real leaderboard. Because people who do things at end game are doing things for the competitive spirit, right? They want to show that they're the best in terms of trials. There's like people who PvE, people who do battlegrounds, or people who do open world, or people who duel. They want to pit themselves against other members of their community, and basically just to see who's better. That's just normal. It's the way people are. People are naturally competitive. And so when the fact that ESO is going this super casual route, it's like you're literally better off just buying a single player RPG than what they're going to offer you, because it's just going to be watered down. That's my opinion in light of the way that the game has been moving, especially with the Dragonhold patch. The Dragonhold patch was a very eye-opening patch to the outcome of the direction that the game is going. People who are like, yeah, we're going to get a new systems, we're gonna get spell crafting, we're gonna get a new skill line, maybe we're gonna new class. It's like, shit, I'd be happy if the fucking group finder would work. I'd be happy if the textures, I don't know how many times you ever watch another streamer, they're like an open world Cyrodiil, and the textures on the floor are literally gone, and people are like thinking that we're gonna get this complex new system. It's like, you're delusional, or you're just creating clickbait videos for people to just sit there and fucking imagine what they're going to get, and you will be sorely disappointed. If you imagine that you're going to be getting some fancy new system within the next patch, I promise you're not. What you're going to get is you're going to get a series of quests that are designed around a story, which is the route that they had gone. They went the story route because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to create story-driven content than it is to have a group dungeon and then have people test it and make sure that it's working, weed out the bugs, etc. It's much easier to just sit there and write a little story, do the little animations, and kind of role play around. It doesn't have to be fantastic. Combat isn't a concern because it's all story driven, which is a lot of what you got in Dragonhold. And in the previous patch, you literally got nothing from Scalebreaker. It was the dot meta, and then the next patch was the reversal of the dot meta. Literally spent 6 months and they gave us no content. And I'm just surprised that people are. I see it on the forums, I see it on YouTube, and it's like, you guys gotta come back to reality.